for the fun begins.
Aren't you used to the whiskey?
Sure you're all right? Because it's gonna cost you $2, no matter what.
Don't you worry, I'll be fine.
Good. Come on. Just a moment, Henry. Just a moment.
Somebody else in here?
That's probably. Did you fall down, Henry?
The man we will come to know as Archibald McCann of Scotland Yard is far from home. He possesses secret knowledge about a monster of the humankind, a monster called Jack the Ripper, armed with a surgical blade and the dead man's gun. In the American West, a gun touched by evil, passed from hand to hand, changing the lives of all who possessed it. Its origin unknown, its dark legend grew, till it came to be known as the Dead Man's Gun.
Good day. Would you be Sheriff Tom Crocker?
What can I do for you?
I am Detective Inspector McCann of the London Police.
London? Like in England?
The very same.
Wondered why you were dressed like that.
Did you receive my telegram?
You're the guy that wanted to know about the Maggie Conroy murder.
Was that the woman's name?
What would you care about her murder if you didn't know who she was?
While I was in New York, I noticed a small item in the newspaper which said that a prostitute had been eviscerated in the town of Threshold, and a suspect was in custody.
You still haven't answered my question, McLean.
It's McCann, sir. I have been sent here in pursuit of a man who murdered 5 prostitutes in London last fall, and he left them in a condition similar to that of the Conroy woman. Now, we know the prime suspect in the London slayings is an American who fled back to this country. He could be the man you have in custody.
Well, you've come a long way for nothing, McCann. The guy who gutted Maggie Conroy is a young prospector from up north. This is the farthest he's ever been from home.
Would you tell me what happened?
Well, the kid got drunk one night. I hired Maggie. Went back to her shack and he carved her up like a Christmas turkey.
He confessed?
No. He claims he didn't do it. But we found him passed out in the shack with what was left of her.
I'd like your permission to interview him.
You don't have any authority here, McCann.
No, sir. But as you pointed out, I've come a long way. So you went to her place for sexual purposes?
Yes, sir. But somebody got there before us. He knocked me out cold. When I woke up, I was in here, and they said that Maggie had been...
So you didn't see the person who hit you or Maggie being murdered?
I didn't see anything. I didn't do anything.
Well, I never met a killer who did.
Henry, what were you wearing on the night of the murder?
What I'm wearing now? Only clothes I got.
There wasn't any blood on them?
So?
Evisceration is a messy business. I don't suppose you've ever been to England, Henry?
Like I told you, McCann, you came a long way for nothing. Come on, I'll buy you a drink.
Mr. Crocker.
Morning, Rita. What can I do for you?
My usual request, apprehend the murderer of Maggie Conroy.
Oh, Rita.
Other girls might be in danger, Mr. Crocker. You've got the wrong man in custody.
This here is Detective McCann. Came all the way from England. Mr. McCann, this is Rita LeMay, proprietor of the town's entertainment.
The bordello.
I call it Rita's House of Delight.
Really? How extraordinary.
Are you shocked, Mr. McCann?
No, it's just we don't discuss such matters quite so freely in England.
Why not? It's a business like any other.
Yes. Well, do you have any pertinent information, Miss LeMay?
Well, not exactly. But I bet money that young Henry didn't slaughter Maggie.
He's not the type.
So why would the London police be interested in the murder of a no-count whore?
Have you ever heard the name Jack the Ripper? He savagely butchered several ladies of the night in the Whitechapel district of London. Speculation is he obtained sexual gratification by mutilating them.
Well, listen, McCann, I don't know what it's like where you come from, but around here, people get killed for money, revenge, or just plain meanness. Not for the reasons you just stated.
It's a comfortable idea that human motives remain the same, but based upon the fact of Jack the Ripper, it seems they do evolve. What we have here, perhaps, is a totally new kind of predator. Repetitive and motivated by a devilish appetite.
You say you suspected an American?
A man who called himself Tumblebee.
So why didn't you arrest him?
By the time we'd fixed him as a likely suspect, he'd fled back to New York, and that's when the Ripper murders stopped.
And now you think he's here in Threshold?
Maggie Conroy's murder has all the hallmarks of his work.
It was Henry Bowlers who killed her. Not your Jack the Ripper.
And if you're wrong...
Drop it, friend. Go fetch Doc Telford.
Extraordinary. Is this kind of violence a common occurrence?
Yep, I suppose it is. But at least it's normal.
It's beyond my help, Tom. This one's a job for the undertaker.
No more expense for the town. You might as well take this, unless you don't have one.
We don't carry firearms, Sheriff.
Well, you're not in England now, McCann. Around here, every man carries a gun.
Thank you. I'll take my chances without it. May I walk with you, Doctor? I've got a few questions.
By all means. Tom didn't say why you've come all the way from London, Mr. McCann.
It's a special assignment.
In pursuit of a special criminal, I presume.
I'm not at the liberty to divulge particulars, but yes, an extremely dangerous individual. Have you lived in Threshold long, Doctor?
Just a few months now.
And before that?
Chicago. Here we are. We come inside.
I suppose this is a good town for a physician. One could make a comfortable living in gunshot wounds alone.
It's rough, but it's liberating. One isn't pinned down by the older rules of more civilized societies.
Like England, you mean? Have you been there, Doctor?
I have, yes. 15 years ago.
Not recently?
No. Are these questions official, Inspector?
Just curious. I was wondering, have you encountered any man in Threshold who is sexually unusual?
Unusual? I'm afraid you'll have to be more specific.
Well, possibly aggressive, rough with women.
A sadist, you mean?
Yes.
Well, it's not really my, The person who might be able to help you with that question is Rita LeMay.
Yes, I've already met the lady.
Well, if anyone knows who does what, she'd be the one. The tools of my trade, Mr. McCann. I imagine you'd see them in a somewhat different light.
And what light is that, Doctor?
Well, this is just a guess on my part, but I suspect you're on the trail of the Ripper. Jack the Ripper.
You've heard of him? I'm surprised.
We do have newspapers in Chicago, Mr. McCann. You think the Ripper is here, in Threshold?
That young woman, Maggie Conroy.
Yes. Tom, Sheriff Crocker, had me examine her remains. She looked like she'd been savaged by a maniac.
Did you form any idea about the weapon the killer used?
Something sharp. Very sharp. A razor, I suspect.
Or a surgical blade?
I suspect it's a lucky thing I wasn't in London last year, Mr. McCann.
Can you send that straight away?
Yes, sir.
He's here, somewhere.
Come on, gents. Make your choices. If you want to fondle the merchandise, go to the grocery. Time is money. Mr. McCann, an unexpected pleasure. That'll be enough, Brandy. I said enough. Now get back to the other girls. Welcome to Rita's House of Delight.
Thank you, Miss LeMay. Unfortunately, delight is not my mission. I was hoping to have a word with you in private.
Certainly. I'll be free at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Then perhaps we could meet for breakfast.
I should warn you, Mr. McCann, that most people in this town don't want to be seen with me.
Oh, fortunately, Miss LeMay, I'm not from this town. Good evening.
Did you get a good look at him?
Big chap with a scar, and I suspect he was trying to run me over.
What for?
Well, maybe he wanted to frighten me out of town.
Ain't hardly anybody who knows you're here.
There's you, Miss LeMay, and Dr. Tilford.
Tilford.
Just how much do you know about him?
Not much. He's a pretty good doctor.
That may be exactly what I'm looking for. Good night, Sheriff.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, it's a treat to be invited out.
I'm afraid the tea is quite undrinkable, but they do make a passable cup of coffee.
Go ahead, please. As unreadable as you think you are, Mr. McCann, you've got questions written all over your face. Let's get them out in the open, shall we?
I was wondering why a woman of your intelligence...
Where I come from, a girl from a poor family has very few choices. She becomes a wife, scullery maid, or she chooses the path that I took. I sense you disapprove.
I was brought up in a staunch Presbyterian family. My kind tend to be dour.
How can I help you?
Did Maggie Conroy work for you?
She might still be alive if she had. I take care of my girls. Why do you believe her real killer is still out there?
The murder weapon was never found, and there was no blood on Henry Bowler's clothing. I'm afraid Sheriff Crocker is not a trained investigator, but I have other reasons to suspect that the perpetrator is a dangerous sexual criminal who has killed other women.
Yes?
This is rather difficult.
I'm not easy to shock, believe me.
The man I'm looking for has a deep-seated hatred of the opposite sex. He attains sexual gratification by mutilating them.
Well, as much as that might surprise other people, it doesn't surprise me. We've served a lot of men who like to get rough with women.
Anyone in particular?
I don't know.
I'm looking for a killer, Miss LeMay.
Well, Sheriff Crocker can get a little out of hand when he's been drinking. Then there's Mike Brindle, the blacksmith. I had to ban him from my place because he wanted to hurt my girls.
Does he have a scar here?
Yes.
Thank you, Miss LeMay. You know, if the killer is still among us, women in your line of work are particularly vulnerable, and that includes you.
Oh, I can take care of myself. It's my girls I'm worried about.
Are you sure? I believe you're what Americans call a tough customer.
Well, I didn't get this far on charm alone, Mr. McCann.
I'm sure you didn't. Shall we have some breakfast? Good morning. I'm here to find out why you tried to run me down.
I don't even know you, mister.
No? Then let's pay a visit to Sheriff Crocker and try and refresh your memory.
Get out of here, I'm busy.
Consider yourself under arrest.
Mr. McCann says you tried to run him over.
You got no proof I did anything.
And why did you attack me this morning?
Some stranger comes walking in, making accusations.
Sheriff, I want this man charged with assault and jailed.
Okay. Come here, Mike. You can cool your heels back there for a minute. Come on, you know the way. Now listen, McCann. You're new to Threshold. You talk, well, the way you speak English, you're obviously not from around here. People ain't necessarily gonna take to you. You go busting into a man's business, threatening to arrest him, you can't really expect cooperation.
That man tried to run me down.
Well, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Maybe you just weren't looking, who knows? Folks drive their rigs a little crazy sometimes. It's a young town. And by your standards, it's hardly civilized. But sometimes I gotta overlook a thing or two just to keep the peace. Now, do me a favor. Just let this go. Mike! Get out of here. And next time, look where you're going. You ought to get Doc Tilford to look at that eye.
You're a very brave man, Mr. McCann.
How so?
Implying that I'm Jack the Ripper while I'm working above your eye with a needle.
I didn't say you were Jack the Ripper.
You didn't have to. Done. Have a look.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You know, I could find out if you were in London last year.
I wasn't. And I didn't murder anyone.
Can I come in?
Sure. What happened to your eye?
Oh, it's not important. What do you know of Dr. Tilford?
Dr. Tilford?
Yes. Does he use your services?
He comes around once a week. The girls like him. He keeps them company.
Does he touch them?
He talks to them.
Perhaps he's incapable of normal sexual relations.
Or maybe he's just a gentle and decent man.
The Ripper obviously has an intimate knowledge of your profession.
Yes. That applies to more people than Dr. Tilford.
Excuse me. What have we here, Sheriff? Another fallen angel?
Brandy Sloan. She was one of Rita's girls. She's been butchered. He took a bullet.
He must have stumbled on the murder and the killer decided to silence him.
What for? The man was blind.
Looks like he didn't get a chance to do his worst before he was interrupted.
What are you doing?
Looking for evidence.
And what do you use to cover up?
It's a surgical blade.
Damn it. I admit it's one of my knives, but I told you someone must have taken it.
Taken it?
Could have been anyone. I see 10 patients a day.
Where were you last night, Damon?
Here. In my own bed alone. I knew that girl, Brandy. I liked her. How could you think that
This knife, your knife, was dropped at the scene of the crime. That's quite convincing evidence.
Let's not jump the fence yet, McCann. It's possible the knife was stolen.
Possible, but is it likely?
And why would I use one of my own instruments, Inspector? It's an invitation to suspicion.
Perhaps. Or perhaps you thought it was so obvious, it would convince us of your innocence.
I don't know. We'll have to find that out. But in the meantime, this town needs a doctor, and Tilford's the only one we got.
You all right?
No. Randy was only 20. How could anyone?
We both need some fresh air. Let's go for a ride.
This man, Tumbleby, fled back to America before we could pick him up, and I've been sent to find him.
You believe that Dr. Tilford is Tumbleby, Jack the Ripper?
2 local women have been slaughtered, Rita. And I found one of Tilford's blades close by Brandy's body.
He's such a nice man.
Perhaps. Or perhaps the nice man is just a mask. A constructed personality that hides what he really is. A man who vents his rage against women, kills them for gratification and feels no guilt. You should know that you're in danger.
I'll close down my place until you catch him.
Excellent.
I want to thank you, Mr. McCann. You've been very kind for a dour Presbyterian.
Sometimes even a strong woman needs protection.
To be perfectly frank, I'm not as strong as I may appear.
Is there any reply to my telegram?
Yes, sir. Came in an hour ago.
The Illinois Medical Board has no record of any Damon Tilford practicing medicine in that state.
That sure does make him out to be a liar.
Or worse.
Let's go pay him another visit. Yeah, you better come, Sheriff. There's been another killing.
Oh, who?
Mike, the blacksmith.
Real close range. A lot of burns.
Looks like he's been dead for some time. Probably last night.
Mike was a mean bastard. Surprised he didn't get himself plugged before now.
This wasn't random, Sheriff. Someone wanted him dead, so he wouldn't talk.
Tilford?
I need a drink.
What about it, Damon? Is it true?
I really am a physician. But I practiced in Boston.
So you didn't come here from Chicago?
No.
Why'd you lie about it?
Because 3 years ago I was incapacitated by a disorder of the nerves. Severe melancholia. It affected my practice. I made some serious mistakes. In time, of course, I recovered, but Boston is an unforgiving city. I came west. Nobody here asks too many questions.
And Mr. McCann's curiosity threatened your arrangement.
Yes.
And you hired Mike Brindle to run me down.
I asked him to frighten you away. He's not a man who understands subtlety.
Mike Brindle has been murdered, in case you didn't know.
Oh, God. What I'm gonna do, Damon, is confine you to your house until we get this sorted out. If you need anything, one of my men will get it for you.
More whiskey.
And I'll trouble you for a photograph of yourself. Mr. McCann wants to send it to England.
You can take that one there. It'll prove to you I'm not this tumblebee.
Where did you learn that name?
You mentioned it earlier, Inspector, when you came by my house. With the knife.
What now?
Well, I shall carry this photograph to New York, put it on a ship for London, and we should know the truth in about 3 weeks. Meanwhile, you wire the Massachusetts Medical Board and see if Tilford was telling the truth.
What if someone else did those killings? Somebody you don't suspect?
Do you have anyone in mind?
Well, it could be anyone, couldn't it?
Well, yes, I suppose it could. If you'll excuse me, I have to see Miss LeMay.
Send that for you right away, Sheriff.
So you'll be leaving for New York tomorrow?
Yes.
Will you come back?
I'd feel much easier if you'd come with me. You're rather special to me, Rita.
Do you have a first name, Detective?
It's Archie. Will you come? We could ride to the railhead by mid-afternoon and catch the eastbound Limited.
I can't. Not now. I have to look out for my girls.
Tough customer. Very well. But don't go out at night and keep your doors and windows locked.
I promise. You know, I've never made love to an Archie. Relax, Archie. It's on the house.
I don't want to leave you, Rita. I'll be back soon.
Morning, Talon. I got a reply to that telegram you sent. What does it mean?
It means I've been real stupid.
There?
It's me, McCann.
You came back.
Yes. I rode halfway to the railhead and changed my mind. I couldn't leave you.
I'm so glad. You know, I've had all day to think about it, Archie. I mean, what exactly was I trying to prove by staying here? And I decided that I should go with you. That is, if you still want me to.
That's no longer necessary. Get rid of the derringer you carry on your leg.
But you don't sound...
Do it.
What? Your voice has changed? Who are you?
Jack the Ripper. But what's in a name? I have Several, actually. Archibald McCann, for one. Does it suit me?
Was there a real Archibald McCann?
Oh, yes. He caught up with me in New York. He was clever, but not much of an opponent. I took his name, his hat, his gun. I don't know where he got it. They don't carry guns in England. It didn't help him, did it? I put him in a shallow grave. I'll spare you the details. I took his whole identity. Don't you see how ingenious that was? As Inspector McCann, I could go anywhere, do anything, always above suspicion, always investigating myself.
So it was all an act. I really believed you cared for me.
What I do? I'm enchanted by everything about you. Your skin, your pathetic attempts at elegance. There's a slight sting of lilac in your perfume that almost hides the scent of corruption.
You think if you kill me...
Dirt must be cleansed, Rita. Let's go upstairs. We can have one for the road, so to speak.
You played a great game, I'll give you that much. But what was the point of it?
Amusement. I've always wondered what it was like to be on the other side of the law. And now I know. I had to wait a couple of weeks after I murdered Maggie Conroy before I could show up to investigate her murder. I played it by ear at first, and then Tilford gave me the chance to implicate him. So simple. The sheriff didn't believe in the Ripper.
Not your Jack the Ripper.
Until that is. Until that is, I did brandy.
You're not human.
Oh, but I am. A completely new kind. Totally free and unfettered by what people call morality. Do you think I'm evil, Rita? Do you really know what that means? Is lightning evil, or the cleansing torrent of a storm? It's just what is, what must be, like gravity. I bring peace to these poor, misguided souls. I'm the angel of death, Rita. There's no higher power. As a whore, you above all should understand that. What it means to place yourself outside the conventions of right and wrong. But I suspect you've missed the point. It's too bad. I almost feel sorry for you. It's a pity, but I think you're just a God-fearing girl at heart.
You don't deserve to live.
You do? You're a whore, Rita. The business of sin. You and people like you poison the world. Only you call it.
Welcome to Rita's house of
delight.
You crazy, McCann.
No, I'm not. Not at all. I'm just a street cleaner, flushing out the gutters, leaving behind the occasional warning. Now tell me, who deserves to die? Time to go upstairs, Rita.
No! After you kill her, what then?
McCann vanishes.
Keep back! Keep away!
I was right about you. A real prize. A dish to be savored. But it's over, Rita. You've already taken longer than all the other girls. Give me the knife.
You won't use that.
No? Why not?
Because you won't get any pleasure that way.
You're right. I prefer the knife. If you give it to me now, I'll make it quick. Force me to take it from you, I'll make you pay. You have no choice, Rita. You see, I have this. That's it, Rita. It'll be over in a jiffy. Give me the knife, Rita. Give me the knife, Rita. That's my girl. Give it to me. You can't kill Jack the Ripper.
I told you I could take care of myself.
I gotta hand it to you, Rita. When you take it in mind to kill a fella, you really do a job of it.
He told me everything. He was gonna kill me.
Yeah, you can give me the details later. I know who he was and what he's done. Wired the London police to inquire about McCann. Just caution, I guess. Got a reply this morning. Inspector Archibald McCann was 63 years old. Maybe I'm not as stupid as he thought.
Well, we gotta let him know that Jack the Ripper's dead. It's important.
Important in England, maybe. Consider my situation, Rita. I'm a small-town lawman who drinks. I'd probably lose my job if people found out I got taken in by this character, and there could be consequences for you, too.
For me?
A lot of legislators in this state are keen to ban businesses of your sort. They're just waiting for a story like this one.
So what are we gonna do?
Now that about does it. You want to say some words?
Rotten hell, you son of a bitch.
This gun of his is a nice weapon. You want it?
Sell the damn thing. I can use the money to repair my banister.
Okay. Hell of a deal, huh? I'm just thankful there aren't any more like him.
He was unique, that's for sure.
There has never been any official solution to the mystery of Jack the Ripper, who died as he lived, his secret buried by the dead man's gun.